Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back here again. It's your boy Rakeem with Unpacked, and today I have a special guest in the building. I had to say a special guest, my people. But my guys, if you're new to my channel, please hit that like, click that subscribe button, and click that notification bell for any future episode. But just to give you guys an insight what this episode is going to be about, this guest here is going to just briefly touch up on his upbringing, his relationship with his family, what his life has been like in terms of upside down and in in past relationships that he's actually been through. And also we're going to talk about how, give me a moment, his mental health. There was a one stage in his life where he was very close to committing suicide, and we're going to touch up on that as well. But I don't want to give away too much, my guys, but without further ado, let's give it up for Peter. My brother. I hope the introduction was all right. I was stuttering there.
Don't worry about it, man. That's what we're here to do.
My brother, man. I didn't want to say your surname, so I just said Peter. You know what I mean? Not to give it away too much.
It's cool.
First of all, man, I honestly want to thank you so much. I normally tell guests, you know what? Thank you for coming. But for you, my bro, honestly, thank you so much for coming, my bro.
No, we got the long drive done. We're here.
Listen, just for the viewers, man, brother drove all the way from Manny. I hope you don't mind me sharing this.
Yeah, share it.
All the way from Manny, and came down here to show me love and to actually come on this platform and share his side of the story. And man, we're gonna touch up on that. But before we get into the nitty and gritty, my bro, man, what was your upbringing like? Let's touch up on that a little bit.
So I come from South Manchester. It's like one of the biggest council estates in Europe. It's called Wythenshawe, but it's like your typical. Well, in the beginning, it was your typical council estate upbringing. Didn't really have much. I won't go as far as say we was poor, but we was poorer than some kids. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, it was just your typical council estate upbringing. But I come from a time like before social media took over. So I'm in my mid-30s now. So I see it as a blessing, because now I think social media has taken over, especially like with the younger generation, and it makes them awfully comfortable doing certain things, like for instance like disrespecting people online with there being no consequences. Where I come from a time and a place where if you was to directly insult someone, or you was to try and drag somebody down, there would be a consequence to pay before long. Whereas now I think the generation like below us, I think they don't have the same like raw upbringing and the same understanding and the same fear of any consequences. That's why you see so much hate online and stuff like that. So I'm blessed to have come from like, I'd say a rough background, but from a time before social media took over and spoiled like the younger generations and stuff like that. So so my upbringing was good. But in terms of like parenting and stuff like that, I had a 2-parent background up until I was like ready to go into high school. And my mother actually got diagnosed with cancer, which she, by the grace of God, she beat, and through like a one-off surgery and stuff like that. But then it had like a ripple effect in the home. So when she's come back after her operation, she was a young mum, and like every young person out there, they still want to enjoy themselves, still want to live their life. So she went to try and go straight back into that sort of like partying all the time, going out, and she ended up meeting somebody else behind my dad's back, which caused like a big rupture in the family, in the home, caused them to split up, caused a lot of like, I won't call it so-called domestic violence, but I heard things I shouldn't have heard, seen things I shouldn't have seen, and I seen a lot of toxicity around the family home. And then the family split. I ended up staying with my father, and then I just basically got the brunt end of the breakup. And so when you're a kid and you see like a relationship toxic, you see something break down like that, you just think that's the norm, because you don't know any better. You don't, so then you transcend into adult life, which is what I did. And I didn't know what love really was. I didn't know what being a man was all about, because my dad didn't show me. He just went quiet. He turned into somebody else, went cold. So then I had to go and figure that out. So where I was going to figure it out was on the streets, was in places where like you're not going to find what real manhood's about. So when a young boy like comes from a broken home, he doesn't necessarily get that role model that shows him what manhood's all about. So he has to go outside and figure it out himself. And 9 times out of 10 we get it wrong, bro. And that's what I was guilty of, like going out trying to look for certain things, look for validation, look for that love, look for like seeking what being a man was all about. And I was looking in all the wrong places.
Gotcha.
So we like, as young boys especially, we imitate our atmosphere, and that's what I did growing up. I imitated my atmosphere. That's why I started like experimenting with drugs when I was 12 years old. Like started off at like smoking and then it transcended into alcohol, into Class A and things like that, which turned me into, I was probably a young alcoholic, bro. And I went to a good school, so I can't even blame like the school that I was in. It was the lack of resources. And I always say it to people all the time, you can only grow to what you're exposed to. And I was exposed to a lot of like violence on the streets, a lot of fast money, fast women, things like that. And that's what I thought was the way to go for me. So I was like excited about living that life because I couldn't see further than the end of my street. There wasn't social media where you could pull up a phone and, you know, you could see what success looked like. To me, success looked like fast cars, fast women, being able to handle yourself on the streets. It was all the wrong things that actually doesn't make you a man. You know, it breaks a man. And then it was only a matter of time before it broke me. So I went into a habit of fighting every week and going out drinking and stuff like that, trying to act up to my surroundings and trying to create some sort of reputation and respect, which really holds no weight in the real world. And then it resulted in me punching someone in the street, and in year 11 I got sentenced to 4 months in jail and I had to do my GCSEs in prison and stuff like that. Well, didn't get any, came back out, and then I was just straight back into the cycle of like council estate living, growing up on the streets and things like that, just trying to find my way, trying to create what I thought was a solid man, but I was doing the complete opposite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I know that's quite sensitive, man. But if you don't mind, I just wanted to bring it back a little bit, because this started off somewhere where it also affected you because your mom and dad did split up. Now, in terms of, and I'm sorry to hear what your mom has been going through, and I'm really glad that she's actually
I appreciate
cancer.
It's part of the story, brother.
Yeah, and when your mom came back and started living certain life, what pushed your mom like to do certain things, such as like, for example, go behind your dad's back?
Yeah, so I think for me, like she had a long recovery process. And I think for me, if you're used to living a certain lifestyle and then you get that lifestyle taken away from you through something that's none of your own doing, it's like it's an illness. You know, and then you spend a lot of time bedbound, a lot of time quiet, because she had to learn to speak again. She had like cancer in her tongue and stuff like that, and had an operation where she had to learn to speak again. So she didn't have that social exposure, if you will. So I think she was trying to like make up for lost time. Whereas by the time she'd come around and she wanted to do that, my dad had spent time looking after her and stuff. So it was like, he didn't want to do that. So he was already going in completely different directions, you know, and the more he pushed, the more she pulled. And you know what it's like when you're in a relationship and one person wants one thing and another thing, and you know, you want completely different things. It's only a matter of time before the divide happens, you know what I mean? And I think that's just what it was. Yeah,
your dad was, of course, which is natural. He was quite tired because he was already looking after you while your mom was ill. And then on the opposite hand, mom was
so if you
wanted to catch up on lost time.
So if your partner falls ill and you've got to take the reins and look after your kids, and you know, and go out and earn a living and look after a sick partner, like it can only take its toll on you. And then when that person does make a speedy recovery, and then they don't probably want to reciprocate because they're looking for validation in other areas and not actually seeing the blessing that it is to have somebody look after you, then you know, that I think that's what I got you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you as a child at that point, like, of course, you're very young. You don't know what's going on, so you don't know the reason why this has happened and the reason why you ended up living with your dad and why they've split up. You didn't know any of that. I'm assuming.
Yeah, because when you're a child, you don't know. If you can only, and especially like I say again, like as much as it was, I'm blessed and grateful to have come up before social media. There was no access to the internet, so I couldn't see what other love looked like. So if my only one example of a relationship was toxic, resulted in illness, resulted in divide, resulted in screaming and shouting and banging, then that's what I automatically think that what to expect from love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And when you lived with dad, for example, did you ever ask your dad and said, Pops, like, how comes I'm here with you now and not with mommy anymore type of?
No, because if somebody, so obviously my mum would have been the bad guy because she left him for somebody else. So there was no, you weren't even allowed to say her name in the house. So it was no like, there was no story behind it. And a cold person like my dad was anyway, to be hurt and put in a vulnerable situation is going to make somebody go cold. If a man's already got like an avoidant attachment style where you don't express your love and you don't express your feelings, and then that man goes out and gets hurt by his partner, the one person who should have been there for him, then it's only a matter of time before he goes completely cold. That version is completely locked off. So there's no explanation behind his discipline. There's no explanation behind his coldness and things like that. And I think that's all it was really.
Got you, man. No, I understand, man. So if we fast forward a little bit up into your teenage years, because you've explained you didn't know what love was like, you didn't know, you didn't see any examples and stuff like that. So you got into your first, you had a partner when you were 18, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Up until like 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what was that like?
So when you first so when you're trying to figure it out as a young man, as it is, and you've had no example and you don't know what love looks like and you don't come from a two-parent background, the first thing you get yourself into in terms of a relationship, you just like try and figure it out as you go along. But then I was with somebody who was just a friend. It wasn't even anything serious at the start. We was just somebody who we used to smoke. So we was bonded by the wrong things for a start, and then it wasn't before long that the argument started and things like that. But I'd already seen that, so I thought that was normal. And when you look around on a council estate and you see other people arguing with their girlfriends because they come from broken homes, it's just like a conveyor belt of toxicity. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So our idea of love as a young man and our idea as a manhood, like, it's so confused and so vague. It's like, it's a matter of the first thing. It'd be a miracle for your first relationship to work out, especially if it's centered around cannabis, especially if it's centered around council estate living, especially if it's like, and while you're trying to figure out your hormones, trying to,
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? You're growing up and you're just learning on the job, and you've got nobody. You can't turn home and look at like a marriage because it isn't there. You can't look around and see any of your friends in a solid relationship because it's just not there. There's no influence there to or a blueprint. Would you know what I mean? Would you say to follow?
Got you.
So it was just a matter of time before that blew up. So that spent like that was just a couple of years of just madness, and then that actually resulted in. It was that off and on. One time when it was off, she ended up sleeping with one of my best friends, and
that was going to be my next question.
That was someone who I trusted. Like, I trusted him like a brother. I put clothes on his back. I did everything in the world for him. I loved him like a brother, and then it come to light that something had gone on between the two, which was just mental. But I think I needed that at the time.
It was a sign.
I was always the person who kept going back. I was always the person who was just like, one last chance, one last try. And I was scared to be on my own. Because when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time by myself. Like, the family was broken, but I was isolated a lot. And because I didn't really fit in, and because I didn't really know how to find my way in the world, I was always making a lot of mistakes, which resulted in like very few friendships and hardly any relationships. So that was my first taste of love. So for me to separate myself from that, I was risking never finding it ever again. And it was like I said, with no internet access and things like that, it was like I was risking a lot. I felt like I was, unlovable at one stage, and I was doubting myself. So then I was always giving it another chance until, like, when someone goes somewhere else and they come back, like, it's never going to be the same. Do you know what I mean? And I think I needed that to happen for me to be able to break free.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
And with your best friend, and this is another thing, because when you find out, I can't imagine like what that feeling is like, because it's almost like that feeling when you get betrayed by two people instead of one, if that makes sense. So how did you find out? That's my first question. And secondly, like, what was like, should we call it the excuse, or as to why it happened? I know that might sound like a silly question.
There's no excuse. And when you get into a toxic relationship and you're just arguing, like, you don't need an excuse. You don't need anything to kick off. It's clearly not working.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time before somebody finds somebody else. And that's all it was. And it was a case of me seeing a message on a mobile phone, and it's just like, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, even though he was one of my closest friends at the time. Like, when someone betrays you, it's just an exposure of bad character. And I didn't understand it at the time, so it probably hurt me now. Even if I got betrayed right now by someone, it would hurt. But what I've trained my mind to see is the blessing in every situation. So when somebody betrays me, I just think, you're exposing your bad character. And I'd rather find out now than 5 years down the line when I've done a million favors for you and got more skin in the game. Do you know what I mean?
And how tight were you guys? Like, I mean, was this since knee high?
No, it was a good 5 years in the making. Tight. It was a good 5 years in the making. And because when you grow up on a council estate, and when you grow up before social media and stuff, you have to go out and meet your friends. It's like, we're going to be here at this time, and you spend a lot of organic time together. Now, if you look around at 5 friends sat in a room, they're all sat like this.
Yeah.
Nobody's got any real connection. You're showing each other memes. You're locked in on the device in your hand, so there's no like organic growth, and like relationships don't flourish as much as they can because they've got an electrical block right in front of them. So it was like you always build like a brotherhood with you. They call it your day ones, don't they? So like it was like one of my day ones vibes. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was yeah.
No, man. That's and are you still? It might be a silly question again, but are you still in touch with him?
No, but you know what? That
Yeah.
didn't stop it at the time. It's broke for a little bit. But when you know when you like, so when I love somebody, I love them for real. If I give you my love and I tell you I love you and I treat you like a brother or I treat you like a sister or I treat you like family, if I'm willing to treat, because I don't have a big family, so my friends and like my girlfriend and like people like that, they're family to me. They're the closest people in the world to me. So it takes a lot for me. Even the people I don't speak to no more, it doesn't mean that I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I wish them any evil. Like I wish everybody the best, even if they wish me the opposite.
Yeah. No, man. You know what? That's very powerful, man. That's very powerful. So you guys ended up not speaking for different reasons, basically.
Yeah, just like a breakdown over when somebody exposes their character. So when I started doing all my personal development work, I started taking accountability for all the choices and stop blaming everybody else and things. I realised like what a man is and certain things. And then once you do that work on yourself and you build your character, you start to notice the flaws in everybody else's, and then you just detach yourself from it naturally.
Yeah, respectfully as well.
Yeah, respectfully. Yeah, it doesn't need. Not every situation needs an argument. Not every situation needs a press conference. You don't have to sit everybody down every time you've got a problem. As soon as they show you bad character, it's okay to separate yourself. You don't need permission or a big deal. Just walk away with your peace still intact.
And if you see him around today, it's always love.
Just
Hey, what's going on? You good?
salute.
Salute. That's it.
Drive past you, see you.
Yeah.
You're not sat next to me like that.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you, man. I hear you. So, like in your early 20s, and I'm not sure if this was after you've broken up with your first missus.
Yeah.
Was that the moment that you started, becoming homeless, like around that time, or was it a bit before that?
I was one of them because I always like clung on to people. So I was always like staying with other people. So then when I was actually on my own, I realized like you don't really have many people when you've not got family members. And by that time, by my early 20s, I was 10 times worse than I was when I was 16. I was, the little kid that went jail. It had only magnified. So I didn't have a fixed abode. I was staying on people's couches and things like that. And I was struggling sometimes for places to stay. So, which ended up resulting in me getting a place in a homeless hostel, like an all boys hostel and stuff like that. And that was when I was like 23. But that was not after that was a couple of years of like substance abuse, alcohol abuse, being a selfish person. Do you know what I mean? And I'm wasting my life.
Okay. And what was that like? Like, did you feel like there was no one really, I wouldn't say on your side, but no one that you could really turn to at that particular point when you felt that loneliness? Like,
so while you're trying to grow into a man and understand what a man is, the last thing you want to be doing and the last thing you're encouraged to do is vent your feelings on what's going on in here and talking about your frustrations.
Okay.
It's more spoke about freely now. Everyone talks about the fact that men need to speak up more, but no one actually really does still speak up more. And at the time then, like you're talking 10 plus year ago, like people weren't speaking up about their feelings, and especially like what was I supposed to do? Go up to my friends on the estate, my friends who were involved in all sorts, and say, you know what, lads, like I'm broken inside, I'm worried, my life's not going the way I want to go, I'm sick of this and I'm sick of that. Like you don't have there's no safe space for you to speak about your frustration, so you just take each day as it comes, and before you know it, years have passed by and you're still stuck on that same cycle. Yeah, just breaking yourself down constantly.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And did you feel like at that point, like, your mental health was really through the roof? Like,
to be fair, like it wasn't until after I got out of the homeless hostel, like when don't get me wrong, I was disappointed, but I always say like you imitate your atmosphere. So my atmosphere was just going out, drinking, partying, fighting, council estate living, stolen cars, you name it, violence. Like there was nothing. I couldn't see further than that. So it wasn't like I was measuring myself. Like now people get depressed because they measure themselves to people on social media, but there was none of that when I was younger. There was none of that when I was homeless. I couldn't pull up my phone and see somebody winning. I was just looking outside and looking at what was around me in my environment, and nobody was winning. Everybody was doing the same things, repetitive. So I wasn't that far away from it, even though I was homeless and struggling financially and stuff like that. Like I was never too far away from the next party. I was never too far away from the next nightclub event. I was never too far away from the next like bit of whatever activity with my friends, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like there was no gap. There was no gap of expectation where depression's bred, you know what I mean? So it wasn't until I started to get into my mid-20s and I'd actually pulled myself out of the homeless hostel, and I'd actually willingly or? Yeah. I don't know. I started doing all right. I was getting like fast money. I was getting faster women.
Yeah.
I was getting more of a reputation. I started to grow up like physically in looks. I was bigger. I was stronger. I started to actually feel like I was becoming the man that I always wanted to be.
Right.
But alongside that was a drug and alcohol problem. And I thought, like, I didn't understand about running to things that break you. And anytime I got stressed, anytime there was a problem, anything, I was running to drugs and substances and running to people that didn't have my best interest at heart. They only encouraged me to go out for days and take class A for days on end and, like, you know, shut myself off from the world and not speak about what's going on and try and suppress my emotions with all the wrong things. And that's when it started to snowball inside me. And then I was reflecting on, I started to look at the areas. And then social media started to pour in then. And then you start seeing other people who appear to be living better. And then you start automatically, like,
comparing that as well.
Comparing yourself and then looking at the gaps in your life and thinking, like, why can't I? And then you start feeling unworthy of certain things, of like certain wins in life. And then that's when you start getting depressed. And that's really what happened to me. And I just hit a wall with the substance and alcohol abuse and things like that. And, like, I went through a period of self-harming through frustration. Like, I used to literally, like, cut myself, and I was in a bad way, like, mentally. But it wasn't the fact that people say, like, call it like you were suicidal, but I don't even like to think that I was suicidal. I just didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to live. I tried to figure it out from, say, the age of 13 when I ran away from home and stuff, and I had, like, ruptions with the family. And within the next 10 years, it was a decade of just toxicity, of drug abuse, of prisons, of police stations, of court, of just so much stress and trauma and things like that. And it's only a matter of time when you've got no outlet for it to boil over. And then it got to the point where I was thinking, this is it for me. I felt like I'd reached the ceiling, and I thought, it's not that I wanted to die. I just didn't know how to live. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know that I could, that in order for me to overcome this, I had to change the man in the mirror. And so I was blaming everybody else. I was blaming the fact I got cheated on. I was blaming the fact that I didn't have a 2-parent background. I was blaming the fact that my dad it was everybody else's fault but my own.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And while you do that, you create a victim mentality, and a victim mentality and a victim mindset makes a weak man. And that's all I was. I was just guilty of I made a weak man myself, but it was never my fault. It was everybody else's.
Got you. And you know what? One of the powerful things is, like, to be able to also acknowledge, like, your own type of flaws as well. Like, and it's easy for everyone. Normally when you speak to everyone, they're like, you know what? No, it was because of that. It was because of this. It was just making so many excuses, but never really looking in the mirror. And that's powerful. Like, from your side to actually say, hey, look, it's not because of other people. It was because of me. Like, I didn't deal with this the right way. But also from your young age, you have not really had, we call it, the right example, like, to see what things were really like.
Exactly.
And then that pushed you to go elsewhere. And like we normally say, the mandems on the block are so-called the next family that you can almost turn to. And then that's what makes everything else worse. Do you know what I mean? They do almost the opposite what a real family really supposed to do. It's almost a pretending that they're looking after you and stuff like that. Be like, yo, I'll get you money, I'll get you this, do that. And then you're thinking, yeah,
you've got to, like, in their defense too, you've got to understand that they're coming from the exact same broken homes. Exactly. They're coming from the exact same lack of resources. They're coming from the exact same world as you, and just trying to find their way in the world just like you. They didn't have a positive male role model to show them, no, you need to pull back from social situations and focus on the gym. You need to build up your physical health so it plays into your mental health. You need to have more respect for women. You need to never raise your hand to a woman. You need to not try and take from others. You need to pour into your own cup. Certain things, like certain character traits that should be passed down. Like, you know, and it wasn't until my, like, late 20s till I started to actually try and figure out what a man actually was. I sat back and I thought, I have got this so wrong for so long, and I got sick of my own poor behaviour, my own poor choices, and then stopped pointing the finger at the rest of the world and then started pointing it at me. And that's when the game changes, bro.
Yeah, powerful, man. That's really, really powerful, man. So we're going to fast forward a little bit further down, towards your late 20s, early 30s. You was with another partner, ex-partner, I would call it, in your early 30s, am I correct? Yeah. What was that like? And did you feel like you've learned a lot more in in that stint as opposed to your first one? Did you feel like you've learned a lot more? And what happened and how did things end? Like, yeah, talk to me.
I feel like every relationship you get in, you learn. If you're self-aware enough, you can take a blessing from each person that you meet, even if it ends badly. You can always learn something about yourself at the very bare minimum. And that's what I did, because I didn't have, like I was saying, like a model couple to look up to, or even seen what our marriage looked like. I was just trying to figure my thing out. And then I was thinking, you know, every single time you get better, if you blame yourself and you assess like where you went wrong previously, then you can try and improve on it in the future. And then that's all I was doing. And then it even got to like, so that was another like friend situation that went further, that should never have gone further, but that was a person that was there for me through. So in my late 20s, I got stabbed in a nightclub after a fight, and one of my friends died on the same night, and it was just, and it pushed me down like even further. Like I was already struggling financially, I was already struggling with substances, and that just made me numb for about. And I was on bail for like about a year as well, and there was a lot of stress, mate. But I was burying myself again in substances and all the things that was breaking me deep down, and I was unrecognizable if you could see a picture of me back then, and the way I used to carry myself and speak, and the view I had of myself, like it was so small and so skewed. It was bad. But that person always seemed to be there for me through certain things, like a friend vibe. Do you know what I mean? And then trying to make something more happen out of it, just out of, I don't even know, I couldn't even.
Was it naturally? Did it just happen naturally?
It just naturally happened, and then and then the same thing happened because we both come from broken homes again, both come from toxic relationships again. So it was like your sickness, my sickness, and we just created one big toxic environment again. But then it wasn't until like I got to the point now where when you go through a certain amount of breakups and you go through a certain amount of trauma, you like, and you know you're gonna be okay regardless. It gets easier to walk away from people that aren't for you. Do you know? There's not a lot of people who like to reflect. They always like to play the blame game. But if you can reflect and own your part in every toxic relationship, like you can say like, oh yeah, but you got cheated on by your first girlfriend. Yeah, but something about me said cheat on me. I didn't get cheated on because I was the best boyfriend I could ever be. I was a piece of shit. For lack of better words, do you know, I wasn't trustworthy, I wasn't reliable, I wasn't respectful, I didn't even respect myself. So how can I expect anybody else to treat me any different? I say it all the time, like, you don't get based on what you think you deserve. Like, you could have the best heart possible, but you don't get what you deserve unless you show it to the rest of the world. You get what you show up as. Do you know what I mean? Especially as a man. Like, you can play the victim as a man, but you don't, like, women don't cheat on men because men are just the best husband and the best boyfriend and the best dad ever. You know, you get cheated on because, you know, you're distant from the family home, you're not doing your jobs, you're not stepping up into your masculinity, you know, you're not being a king of the castle. So instead of creating a queen, you're creating a damsel. Do you know what I mean? And I think, like, as soon as you can take responsibility for that and start figuring about the areas where you can improve as a man and you can sew it up, then you'll end up developing a relationship that's actually for you and attract somebody who wants the best for you. But it all starts with you, bro, pointing a finger at yourself and going, right, this is where I'm lacking. I'm gonna get this sorted before I jump straight into a next situation. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I ended up doing in my 30s. So.
And I hope you don't mind. I'll bring this up because I wanted to correlate this back to your pops, for example, because your pops was doing a lot of things right. Like, he was, in your own words, correct me if I'm wrong, he was doing the most in terms of looking after you guys and etc. and stuff like that. But he still ended up, you know, I would say, being betrayed, you know, by your aunt. This is what's your take on that?
This is no, like, you can do the most for people, but like, you know, he was doing the most for people, but he was a disciplinarian, so it wasn't always like, it wasn't like the big loving father and stuff. He was always cold. He just did his job.
I got you.
What he had to do at the time, because what was he going to do? Leave a sick woman by bedside? You know what I mean? The mother of his kids. Like, he did what he was supposed to do. And I think that's the problem with men. They do like just about enough what's required and then expect the world to open for them. Do you know what I mean? People just do just enough, but then expect all the flowers in the world. And it's like, you don't get stripes out here for not being a piece of shit. You know, you get stripes for going above and beyond. And if the people around you don't appreciate it, then that doesn't mean you go cold. That just means those people aren't for you. And when sometimes it can be your family members, sometimes people with the same second name have got bad intentions for you and aren't meant to be in the next chapter of your life. But it's up to you to be strong enough to not let their disrespect affect your character and then keep it moving and still keep pouring love out there. Do you know what I mean?
That makes
He didn't do that.
I got you, man. Thank you for explaining that, man. Like, I just wanted to get a bit more insight, but it makes a lot more sense now, man. So I appreciate that, man. So, like, in terms of your family as a whole, you said, you know, in your own words, like, you're not in touch with, is it any of your family members or?
Not really, no. Like my family, I've got I've got a little sister and my mum. I speak to them most of the time and stuff like that. But my friends are my family. I say it all the time. Like I've got a best friend. He's like we're stronger than blood. We're related by loyalty and related by like loads of go through. Like when he's down, I'm there for him and vice versa. Like loyalty's kept us. Loyalty's like the cement in real relationships. Because I think people throw the term family around too much. They think because someone's got the same second name as them that gives them permission to walk all over them, and it doesn't. Just because someone shares the same second name doesn't mean they share the same values. So then you've got to have enough self-respect and not let your loyalty become slavery and know when to separate yourself from. You can't keep carrying dead weight even if it has got the same second name or the same bloodline as you. You know, your family are the people that show up. Like love is a verb, so you've got to show up for the people that show up for you. Don't like because all you're going to end up doing is showing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all I do. I show up for the people who show up for me. My family members will be people who see this episode and they'll know we're bonded by something like stronger than blood. You know, and there's people who watch this episode who are actually related to me and see clips of me and they will feel so distant because the love's not there. That verb ain't there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what made you kind of like drift apart and detach yourself from your family? Like what were some of the, I wouldn't say signs, but reasons why you said, you know what?
It's when I'm figuring myself out, bro. When I realize certain people aren't like me, I don't wait around.
Gotcha.
I don't like too many people are just around people that aren't good for them or aren't anything like them. It's your job, especially as a man, to find people you've got something in common with, meet them on that middle ground and see if you can like work together and grow something and you know, and build a solid relationship because, you know, you don't owe anybody anything. You owe it to yourself to, you know, when someone shows you that they're not like you, which a lot of my family members are nothing like me. We shared a second name, but in terms of like what they want and what I want, we couldn't be further apart if we tried. Like I want to dream big. I want to be respected. I want to leave my mark on this world. I don't want to be quiet. I spent a lot of time being quiet as a traumatized young boy with no role model and stuff like that. I'm sick and tired of that. I want to get my voice out there. I want to share my story. I don't want to hide behind closed doors. I don't want to be selfish. You know, my family can't relate to that. So like the people who celebrate your loudness and you dreaming out loud, they're your real family, bro. They're the ones who are really there when it's all said and done. They're the ones you can lean on and call on. Do you know what I mean? That's what family's all about to me.
No, I got you, man. But talk to me, my bro. Like does it affect you deep down? Because we know it's, you know, family are always family, same blood. Sometimes, you know, do you have like, you know, think back at it and wish that things could be different? And how has it been just affecting you in general? Like, talk to me, bro.
You sit and reflect and you think, what if I had a big brother? What if I come from a 2-parent background and a nice fence and a nice house and I had financial stability and I had family money to fall back on and stuff like that? But who's to say that I would be the same person that I am now if I didn't go through everything that I went through? So if someone could come into my life and wave a magic wand and give me loads of inheritance and give me a loving father and a loving mother and a nice big wedding that I went to and I was carrying rings down the aisle when I was a kid, who's to say that little boy there would have developed into the man that I am now? So I wouldn't change it for the world, brother, because I think if you grow through, you go through. I think it's a beautiful thing. So I wouldn't change the fact that I had minimal family and I didn't have any relatable people growing up. I think I'd just prefer it the way I am now. It's mad, and I do sometimes reflect and I think, you know, when I see people's families, I love watching other people's families and, you know, love watching how people are strong and stuff like that. And I think I would have loved that. But that's not my story. That's not everybody's story, you know. So if I'm going to base my happiness and my hopes of feeling peace inside off a family that I never had, then I'd just be wasting my time, bro. You know what I mean?
I got you. No, fair enough, man, bro. Fair enough. And like, do you also feel when you look back at everything that we literally just spoke about right now, do do you sometimes like tell yourself and be like, you know what, like I take accountability for some of the things that I did, or I've made mistakes in such areas and etc. Like, talk to me.
100%. I make a lot of mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in the past, and I'm not perfect now. I made some mistakes today, and I'll make some more tomorrow. But you know, mistakes are like opportunities to improve and opportunities to reflect and build your character and stuff like that. I wasn't this person now, this motivational influencer and this life coach that you see on Instagram helping people and you know being a real leader in this world. I wasn't like that. You wouldn't have wanted to follow me 10 years ago, I'm telling you now, because you would have ended up probably in a stolen car crashing around the tree or something like that. I was not a role model my whole life because I never had one. You know, this is only like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
I feel you. Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel you, man. Your current life right now, like current life. I'm trying to use the right word. That's a current life. Like we've got 9 lives. Like where you are currently in your life, you know, things are a lot better for you. And has been for quite some time. I see you doing like really, really well on social media.
Thank you.
And we're going to touch up on that in a minute about your life mentoring and stuff like that, and about your boxing and etc. But you've got a partner in your life right now. You know, and I can see by the smile on your face, man. You're happy, man.
Yeah, she makes me happy, man.
Yeah, man. And yeah, man, like even came down, you know, to come here, you know, to support you.
She took the full day off work to do the road trip with me because she was like, how long are you driving for? And it's like 8 hours. It's like, right, I booked the day off work. I'm going to come with you just for a chit chat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so it's good, man. You know,
listen, when we talk about support, man, big respect to that, man. 100%, man. And yeah, man, you're really happy. We've had this conversation briefly over the phone as well. And there's a lot of things that you've told me. And I was like, you know what, that's really, really powerful. But just for the viewers, tell me where you are currently, of course, and, you know, with your current missus now, how you guys met, and how things are with you guys. And yeah, man, just unpack that one for me.
So I'm a firm believer, like I say it all the time, don't I? Like, and I've said it to you a couple of times, you get based on who you are, not what you deserve. So this took me a lot of development, and I say it to her all the time. Like, she wouldn't have wanted to know me 5, 6, 7 years ago when I was out in nightclubs, in fights and things like that. She would have run a mile. It was me developing myself as a man. See, women always date up. Women always look for a strong man, because women look for a leader. They don't want They don't want one of those troubled boys in the nightclub, because they're no good. They're only good for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? When a real woman who's been through her stuff, her fair share, she wants to, let's call it backing a winning horse. They want to be around somebody where they can just, they want to be behind a mountain that their emotional waves can crash into. Do you know what I mean? They want to know that when shit hits the fan, their man's got them. Do you know what I mean? But you have to build that man. You can't just sit there from a place of entitlement. You know, when you've done nothing really with your life, you've been quiet, you've made a load of wrong decisions, you've been sleeping around, doing low vibrational activities, then expect to all of a sudden meet a solid woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With good character, because your life story doesn't reflect that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to first cultivate internally what you wish to receive externally, and that's the biggest thing that I would ever preach to somebody. I always say it to people. I was saying it on a call last night on my men's group call. I was saying, pull back away from these social events, stop trying to chase women and chase the better man, and then the better man will attract the better women. And I've learned that through my own mistakes. Like, I've had more toxic relationships than I'd care to remember. I've never seemed to work out, but now I've built myself, and I took that time out and that isolation to actually see what being a masculine man and what manhood's all about, and I've actually started to get it right. Now I've attracted the right person. Now I've got, my girl's like my PA. You know what I mean? She's like my best friend, my PA. She's like, we do everything together. There's no argument, there's no kickback, there's no, oh, but I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? There's no resistance. She's not combative. She she found out I was going on a run not that long ago. I'm running down the road. She's only driving down the road filming me and stuff, because she knows I like my content and stuff. And then I've ended up making, content for my page out of it. Like, she sees areas.
Let me pause you there for 1 second, just for the viewers, and I didn't want to ruin the moment, but that was my favorite part when we spoke about this previously. Do you know what I mean? That's like, that support there, man. It's crazy, man. But yeah, man, shout out to her.
Well, it's because you've got to base your type what you're looking for. You've got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When you've got it wrong for so long, instead of blaming those people, see why you attracted those people, because even if it was only 10% your fault, you were still there. You've got to take responsibility for the places that you place yourself and the environment where you go trying to select these people, rather than holding your hand in the sky and saying, oh, I'm a victim and this and that, and like, I can just, all women are the same and this and that. They're not. You're just going to the same place to meet them and looking for the same things. Like, you're putting things like looks at the top of your priority list and ignoring character. You should be looking for how thoughtful people are, looking at their background, looking at what they stand for, and listening to them actually talk. And, you know, most men listen through their eyes and think with their fingers, you know what I mean? So
they're trying to turn a baddie into a housewife.
That's
what it is, man.
That's what I'm saying, you know, they're going for all the wrong things, like they're chasing these things on social media and stuff like that, and I've been guilty of it too. I'm not sat here from a squeaky clean position, like I've got every decision I've ever made right, but then I was strong enough and self-aware enough to know, right, yo, it's time to pull back, because I'm sick of attracting the same kind of idiots. Like, I need to pull back, work on me, see all the areas where I went wrong, own it, and then flip it, and then actually see what comes of it. And what's come of it now is, like I said before, I've got a best friend, I've got a PA, I've got somebody who, you know, when things go completely wrong, she's going to be there for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you get a good woman behind you who's willing to lie, steal, go to jail for you, do anything for you, you know, there's no stopping you. A man can go further with the right partner. Do you know what I mean? But you have to build that man first to attract the right partner. You can't keep going round in circles, running around nightclubs and thinking you're going to find something good out there, because there's not. It all starts with you and your personal development. And you know, that's one thing that I preach the most, especially to my guys who I work with. Like, work on the man first, you know, build the man. You have to. You ever see it, like, you see a woman and you think, that woman was a mum before she had children. That's character. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to be a leader before you can lead. Do you know what I mean? You need to be the king before you attract the queen. Like, that's how it works, brother. There's no other way.
And a quick question for you, man. And well explained, by the way, man, for the viewers.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. In terms of, like, we always talk about disagreement, conflicts, or confrontation and stuff like that. How do you guys handle that? Like, if, like, let's say maybe she could be really, really annoyed that day, or you could be very, very annoyed that day and might not agree on something, and you're burning from the inside. How do you guys handle that?
So if we have a disagreement, first thing you've got to do when you have a disagreement is separate yourself from the argument. Don't stay in it. Separate yourself. Let you both calm down. Think of it from a logical perspective, and then come back together. Say, right, this is my point. Let me hear your point, and then see if we can meet in the middle. And whoever's wrong, you just say, right, I didn't realise. Boom, that's it. You don't keep going on and keep the fight going on for long and long and long, because all you're doing is breeding toxicity into your relationship. So as soon as something goes tits up, whether she might not understand where you're coming from, or you might be acting out of character, one of you has got something wrong. But then I say it all the time to my friends I've got a couple of friends who have met good women and stuff like that, but if that woman before you has only ever been with jokers, how can you expect her to understand how to conduct herself around a king if she's never even seen it, if she's never been in it? Like I say, like, how was I supposed to navigate my way through my relationships in my past when all I've ever seen is toxicity, bro? All I've ever seen is domestic violence. All I've ever seen is arguing and like, you know, you can't blame somebody for not knowing how to conduct themselves in a situation that they've never been in, bro. And that's what I always have at the back of my mind. Like, if something like with us will go wrong, or I think she's handling something a certain type of way, or she's acting out of character, before I fly off the handle and start going, I'm thinking that she's not good enough, storming away, I have to reflect and go, no, because she's never been around somebody like me before. Like, and that gives me confidence as well, because I know that I'm one of one, because I've done the work that not a lot of men are prepared to do. I'm definitely in a low percentage, so how can I expect somebody who's never seen that, who's been living wrong for so long, just to change at the flick of a switch? It takes work, but I'm willing to put the work in and willing to, you know, stick it out and get over the arguments and stuff like that. So we never really fall out. It lasts about 24 hours. That's it. But first the silence, and then we come back to the drawing board and, like, right, you know, you've got to be able to have a mature conversation from a place of leadership, instead of, you did this, you was that, rah, rah, rah. Yeah, you can make her see where she went wrong, but you can't just bash her and bash her and bash her, which a lot of men do. You give them a bit of, you know what I mean, they smell blood. They're like a shark, they just won't leave it alone. Just like, right, explain properly, calmly, where she's going wrong, tell her in a calm voice, like, listen, we're not doing that. I won't stand for that. That's not the kind of man that I am. Like, do you know what I mean? You've got to communicate at all times, bro.
No, man. Powerful, man. Powerful. And also one more thing as well is like when you do separate and the things are heating, you do separate. I'm sure you're talking about from a perspective of if you won't just walk out while she's talking. It's more like, hey, look, I know things are heated right now. I'm going to take a moment and we'll revisit this, sometime.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's not like a full sit down, like, right, I'm going to separate myself. Sometimes it's like, right, mute the phone, turn it over, wait till you calm down. Because there's nothing like if you act on emotion, if you act on emotion as a man, you're only going to trick yourself out of your position. That's when most young men as well get into fights that they regret, do certain things that they regret because they're acting on the emotion in the moment. So if you let the heat of the moment calm down, you let the emotionality drain out of the situation and you think of it from a logical perspective, then you can operate properly. Then you can fix what's broken. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in the heat of the moment, when emotions are high and stuff like that, you're not going to make the best decision. You're only going to end up spoiling your own character. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to make the best decision going forward for yourself. You're going to do something that you regret. So you've got to let the dust settle first and calm down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%, man, 100%. So when is the wedding? I'm coming down to the wedding. Yeah, man. But 100%. Like, look, from what you've explained, because we've had numerous conversations over the phone, and like, regardless of everything that you went through, but the way you do speak to her, speak about her, is, and I'm talking about your current partner right now.
Yeah, of course.
Is like I can even see it in your energy, man. You know what I mean? And it's and I hope that things do continue this way for you, for both of you. You know what I mean? And nothing but positive future ahead, man. 100%.
Yeah, 100% respect, man.
Yeah. So just one more question I wanted to ask you.
Come on, bro.
Are you still in touch with your dad?
No.
Okay. How comes?
About 10 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
Was the last time I had a conversation.
Okay. And would you mind explaining why, or you don't want to get into it?
It's just like I was saying before, when certain people show you that they're not like you, like if you stay around somebody, like I say, like you imitate your atmosphere. So if you've got toxic people in your atmosphere, if you've got people that aren't aligned with your vision and your dreams and who you want to be as a person, it's up to you to separate yourself. You don't need a massive fight or an argument and stuff like that. You just... Before it gets to that, like, don't get me wrong, I've got a little laundry list of things go wrong with my dad, and certain things that I wish I knew what I knew now, so I could have an adult conversation with somebody and make him, even it would have been probably mission impossible, try and make him see his error in his ways and certain things, and own my part in the ways when I was doing certain things wrong, because I wasn't never squeaky clean. I don't know how to be even now. Do you know what I mean? Like I've always got that little rebel inside. I've always, I'll always have that inside me, that young kid, that little boy who was confused and lost and stuff like that, who doesn't think logically all the time. That person inside me will never die. But I'm strong enough and aware enough now to know when he's trying to come out. And I was strong enough and aware enough to know that if I stayed around this person so long, whether it was my father or whoever, like it would be a matter of time before I started getting bitter and I started being cold and stuff like that. So I thought, but I'd rather move away. Do you know what I mean? And that it was a choice of mine that I made like a long time ago. And that was before a load of personal development. That was when I was still in the midst of me crashing and burning, when in the midst of like my mental health struggles and stuff like that. Like I couldn't run. That should have been the person that I could have run to the most. That could have been the person who could have saved me the most. Like I say it all the time, especially to me men in a group. I say your sole purpose is to create the man that you needed when you was a boy and give that man to the world. Give that man to everybody you see. There's a lot of men who'll be watching this who think they don't have a purpose. Well, if you can survive 100% of all the trauma, of all the bullying, of all the things you've been through as a child and still be here now to sit on an £1,000 device in your hand and watch a podcast and soak up some game, then soak up the fact that your purpose is to develop your personality and develop yourself into the person you needed when you was growing up and give that person to the world, especially if you've got kids, because it will change somebody's life. It will stop them going through the things that I went through, not really wanting to be alive in the same body and stuff like that. You could save somebody's life. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, 100%. Also, like you said, this was like 10 years ago when you made that decision. But now that you've become a changed man and, you've realized so much in your life and developed so much and etc., and we can just go on and on.
Yeah.
do you feel like that relationship could still be repaired knowing the man that you are today? Like, do you see where I'm coming from?
No, you have to understand, like, you know, when enough's enough, you have to have an enough's enough moment. If you keep going over all ground, you know, you're just going to keep getting the same result. And that's what a lot of people don't want to let go. And like, I've developed, so my ability to let go is one of the best things about me. One of my strongest character traits is I will leave the pieces on the floor. I won't try and put all the pieces back together. Do you know, I'm willing to walk away from any situation. Like I love my girlfriend like more than I've ever loved anyone ever. But if something wasn't right for me, if she showed me that like she was going to stunt my growth or something was going to, you know what I mean? You know, she was going to be a detriment to me in years to come, I would be strong enough to get up and leave, like without a second thought. Like you've got to be strong enough as a man to know if someone's not going to give you what you deserve in a certain situation, you've got to be willing to leave that situation behind. And that's what once the doors closed, I don't reopen doors. I've learnt that through growing up. Like you start reopening doors where you've only been hurt. It's only a matter of time before it happens again, you know.
And do you still see him around? Like,
not really, no, not really. We come from the same place, but no, not really.
Okay, cool. No, I understand, man. Your life now, like, you know, you do a lot of things, life mentoring and you know, coaching and etc. Man. Yeah, man. Talk to me about that. Like, let the viewers know as well, like what it is exactly you do. And you do one-to-one mentoring as well, do you?
Yeah, so I do. I do like 90-day programs, like, and I do like I've got a group that's just running year round. So I've got a male only group, a female only group. I've got an app. I've built courses myself on like mindset and stuff like that, and on relationship breakups, on like character development things. Just like I've got one called like the 5 pillars of self-love. Certain things what I've learned over and studied and, you know, that I've applied to my own life to get myself in a position where I can actually lead others. Like I've done a lot of work and I've created an app and stuff like that, and it's serving a lot of people. But I did it for years, bro, for free. So my social media now has been going for a couple of years, and I've been saving and changing lives for free for so long, building this person that you see today, the coach, the mentor, the public speaker. You know, I was building that person up as well as building trust, as well as leaving a positive digital footprint, which I'm very, very like. I'm very blessed to be in a position that I'm in now. Do you know, I've got a big following. You know, I'm constantly getting some of the messages. If you went onto my Instagram, there's a highlight story called Appreciation. If you've seen the impact that just my free content has on people's lives, it's unbelievable. To go from what I've come from to be in this position now, it's a responsibility what I've got. It's all good saying, oh yeah, I'm an influencer and I've got my little blue tick and I'm doing this and I'm that, and like and I'm jumping on podcasts and sharing my story, and you know, and it looks like the highlight to some people, and people when I see them they go, oh, you're smashing it, but it's what's going on behind the scenes. I'm actually speaking to people and talking guys and girls off the edge of a cliff. Like I'm trying to be the person, like I said, that I needed when I was struggling, going through my worst dark days. I didn't have that influence. I had to go on YouTube to find that. I had to learn through books. I had to learn through podcasts. Like I had to learn digitally how to manufacture a better man. You know what I mean? So if I can do that for other people, then that's my purpose, like I was saying before, to develop myself into the person that I needed growing up. And then using my platforms to give that guy to the world.
That's nice, man. That's really nice, man. That's good work, man. Well done, man. You should be proud of yourself, man.
I appreciate it.
Because considering like where you've come from as well, yeah, man. And another thing that I respect a lot as well, doing it for free, is it can't be easy. Do you know what I mean? To keep breaking through that barrier of just like, you know, and it's also in your mind, you're like, this is probably someone that was me back then. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like you're speaking to yourself but to another person, and you don't want that to happen. So it almost came naturally, but then you start realizing, hey, look, I'm doing this for free, but hey, it's working. You're like, this method is working. Do you know what I mean? And now it's only reasonable and understandable that, you know, you deserve some credit for that as well. Do you get what I mean? So, man, yeah, man, good work, man. And also, we're going to put the links to the courses and stuff like that. We'll put that in the description as well.
100%.
You know what I mean? So that people can find
them. Handles and
100%
social media handles in the thing. And
all of that. Yeah,
get some free content. Come and soak up some free content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, come and get it, man.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. And another thing as well, man. You do boxing as well on the side as well, man.
Yeah, so just started not that long ago.
What's the reason you got into it? Sorry.
Do you know, because so when you develop yourself, like into, say, a leader, into, you know, I speak a lot of positivity, and I tell a lot of people to walk away from disrespect, to not let their disrespect affect your character. But I'm just like you, bro. I'm just like the average man. I still have my moments when I want to tear somebody's head off. I still have my moments when I'm triggered. Like, I want to be loved and accepted, and you know, and things like that. I want to be, you know, I want to feel positivity from other people. But when you don't get it back, it builds frustration inside you. It does hurt sometimes when negativity comes at you and stuff, but you have to have a way to channel it. I used to do it through weights. I used to do it through cardio. I used to do it through certain things. And then a couple of years ago, I started doing boxing training. And then I've had a few influences in my life that have said, why don't you have a go? Why don't you have a fight and stuff like that? And yeah, I had a fight last year. I am an unlicensed fight. I lost just. And in a couple of weeks' time, I get a chance to rewrite my wrongs and get me revenge and stuff like that. So it keeps me grounded. Boxing keeps me grounded. Like, I'm never gonna be Floyd Mayweather. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm used to fighting anyway. Like, I've always fought. But sometimes the fight looks different. Whether I'm fighting it on an emotional level, it's not always about physical. It's about fighting your own demons and stuff like that. And boxing's
Learn off steam as well.
One of the best ways to channel all that pent up energy. And for me, being a coach and being a mentor, I'm taking on people's problems 24/7. My DMs are full of people who are really struggling, and I can't vent that. I have to take that out. I'm absorbing. I'm like a sponge for negative energy and trauma and things like that. I'm taking on people's problems and people who are like suicidal and stuff like that. I'm helping them, but then I have to channel that energy too. That energy has to be converted and go somewhere. And there's only so much content I can put out. There's only so much like love I can pour out. There's only so many people I can help before I have to actually take the lid off and let some frustration out and let some steam off and stuff like that, like you were just saying. And boxing's just like one of the best ways to do that, and it teaches you a lot of discipline. You learn a lot about yourself in a boxing gym. Because you can go everybody that goes into a boxing gym thinking you can fight and you've got no combat training history at all, mate. You very quickly learn that you're not who you think you are. Do you know what I mean? It's good. It's nice to be exposed.
It humbles you really nicely as well, but also, you know, it's a good discipline as well, man. Knowing that you can take a loss and you know what, I took it, and next time I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna have a, you know what I mean, rematch, and you know what I mean, and learn from this mistake as well. So it teaches you so many things on top of what you've already said. So
it teaches you as well. See, a lot of men, so if boxing was in schools, if they were teaching things like combat training in schools and disciplines like that in schools, there'd be none of these kids running around with kitchen knives listening to these daft tunes, these drill musics that are making them, you know, take lives on the street at just like very young ages. Like, there's kids who are 16, 17 getting life sentences just because they're getting revved up by the wrong kind of influences and then going out onto the street. Whereas if they had boxing in an after school curriculum or something like that, it would stop a lot of that. Those numbers would dramatically reduce 100%. Because it would humble a lot of them and make them, you have a lot of respect for your fellow man when you put the work inside the gym. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
They need to introduce it to the younger generation. I found it in my 30s. I wish I would have found it in my 20s. It would have saved me a lot of ag.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it would.
I feel you.
It would have saved me a lot of trouble, mate. Trust me.
Yeah. And just to rewind back on the mentoring thing, the programming that you do. What can these clients expect if they wanted to sign up for your program without giving away too much information as well?
Oh, it's fine. I take people through a 3-step process. So I'll bring them in, and then the first thing is making them aware of their own flaws, taking ownership of their own mistakes, and not playing the blame game. Just saying, right, I meet them where they're at. I don't come and say, right, I expect this from you. All I expect is honesty, and just commit to the group or commit to the program. You know, just come, be honest. Don't hide anything from me, because I can't develop, I can't help if you won't be completely honest with me. How do you expect me to be honest with you? Like, and that's what it is. It's coming in, the self-awareness, self-honesty, and then that breeds self-actualization. So then I can say, right, that's where you've gone wrong, right? Let's move that to a side and let's start building the man or building the woman and stuff like that.
And that's step 2.
Yeah. And then that's step 2. And then once they get to a point of where they're building, they start noticing like things changing in their lives, like the relationships and the way they show up for themselves. And they start getting more confident, and I teach people how to set boundaries and set standards, because not a lot of people have got standards and boundaries, bro, and they don't know how to create them. They just think a standard is going, right, I've got standards, I won't go near him, her. That's not what standards, that's entitlement. It's completely different. So I teach them about standards and boundaries and how important building like solid habits and a solid baseline of habits and a foundation for your character is. And And then when we go from there, then we transcend that, and then you start helping other people. I teach people to do what I do. Like I've got people who, so when you spend enough time with me, it's only a matter of time before it shows in your family life. People notice a difference. I'm making, like, if you go to, so I've got a website, p2gcoaching.com. If you go on there, you'll see a few testimonials of guys who have came in, they were lost, women who've come in who were lost, and then they become a better parent for their kids and stuff like that. I get to give them that. But first, it's being honest. I meet them where they're at, and I'm like, right, that's fine. Like, there's no judgment. I'm like, right, I was there, I can relate to it, but this is how you get rid of that and then start to build the person. And then once you've built that person, like I was saying before, then you start giving that person out, pour it out to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? Find your purpose.
And that's step 3 when they start pouring it out.
You start getting them purpose driven and purpose living, bro.
So first is acknowledging, and then the second is working on it.
Acknowledging awareness and ownership, bro, and then you can put it to a side then and be like, right, that's the thing about pointing the finger at yourself, yeah. You know, instead of pointing the finger at the rest of the world, point it at you, realize where you're going wrong, and then you can fix it. But if you don't think nothing's wrong with you, if you don't think you're broken, then you're going to keep attracting the same kind of partners. You're going to keep doing the same things, cycling week in, week out, and wondering why you're not where you want to be in your life, wondering why you can't attract a decent person, because you're refusing to accept your part in all of your wrongdoings and refusing to own your mistakes. You know what I mean? It's accountability, bro. I teach accountability and preach it till I'm blue in the face, bro, because it's a game changer.
Yeah. No, man. Listen, that was very powerful, man.
Respect.
Everything. Listen, the blueprint, my peoples, like, we're definitely going to put this in the comments, in the description, for that, where they can find the app, where they can find the actual website for all the testimonials, and also how to get through to your mentorship as well. And of course, with all your
just
social
DM
media.
me on social media. I answer all my DMs with it.
He actually does, man. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
This guy is actually so close to, like, what is it? I wrote to like 100K right now.
These are my people, man. They're my people. They motivate me on the days like we was talking about before. There's days when I get up and I don't want to post 2-3 videos on loads of platforms and stuff like that. But there's people out there that message me saying, keep it up. I needed to hear this today and stuff like that. It's a responsibility being in the position that I'm in now. So I'm as much as I'm like, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be in a situation to be able to help other people. So who am I to take my foot off the gas? So if you message me on any platform, you don't even have to go to my website. Message me on Instagram and you'll get a response.
Yeah, man. That's good work, man. That's good work. But listen, honestly, first of all, I want to thank you so much for everything that you shared on here, and, you know, getting a lot of things off your chest, and, you know, sharing it with me as well. Honestly, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And again, man, listen, guys, all the way from Manchester, 4.5 hours drive. My bro, man, I've got to shake your hand for that, man. I appreciate you, man. 100%.
Respect, man.
So much, man. And also, if you want to give the viewers any last message, you know, this is the moment. And also, guys, just to let you know, we've just unpacked, and yeah. And if you want to give the viewers any last messages, anything you want to, like, just tell it, yeah, man, roll out, man, onto that camera there.
Just make sure you like and support this man's channel. Like, subscribe, share it with a friend and stuff like that, and then it'll help him bring guests on like me who can help share positivity and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So just support this man's cause, because, you know, he's a gentleman and he deserves all applause.
Thank you, bro, man. I didn't expect that, man. You know what I mean? Honestly, I appreciate you, man. That's love, man. That's love, man. Guys, honestly, man, man, let's give it up for, man. Let's give it up for you, man. Thank you so much, man. That was yeah, man. That's proper, guys. If you made it this far, honestly, thank you for watching. And yeah, man, click that subscribe, click that notification bell, and hit that like button. Click that subscribe, man. It's free, man. Listen, for the ones that are watching and not subscribing, I see you as well. So listen. Yeah. Click that subscribe right now. And honestly, man, we've just unpacked a really crazy story by Peter. And yeah, man, shout out to Peter. And it's your boy Rakeem with Unpacked. And yeah, man, roll out, my guys.